presentation of American Playhouse is made possible by the nation's public television stations, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and the National Endowment for the Arts. I'm Richard Kiley. Poetry is an echo asking a shadow to dance. Carl Sandburg wrote that. And I suppose it's as precise a definition of the indefinable as you can get. Better anyway than that in the dictionary, which tells us that poetry is metrical writing. Well, we may not be able to define poetry, but we certainly can't deny that we're surrounded by it all our lives, from nursery rhymes in the beginning to rhyming epitaphs at the end. From naughty limericks to TV jingles to sublime sonnets that lift us out of the marketplace and reacquaint us with the stars. Poetry, like music, has something for everyone. I know as an actor, I've always loved poems written in the first person, poems that create a character. I suppose all that began when my children were small and I used to read them nursery rhymes, acting out the various roles. Well, that was so much fun that I later began looking for more serious poems written in the first person, and I found that literature is rich with them. Now, I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm always a little bit put off when I hear the expression poetry reading. It's so intimidating. I always imagine some terribly cultured people in evening clothes filing on stage to a pattering of applause, clearing throats, putting on glasses, and doing poetry at me. Well, of course, sometimes it's sublime, and I'm glad I bought my ticket, but as you'll see in this program, we're trying something a little bit different, and for me at least, a lot more fun. I've gathered together some of my favorite first-person poems, and I'd like you to join me on an actor's odyssey which I've called Verse-Person Singular.
Speaking in general, I've tried them all. The happy roads that take you all the world. Speaking in general, I've found them good, for such as cannot use one bed too long, but must get hence, the same as I've done, and go observing matters till they die. What do it matter where or how we die, so long as we've our health to watch it all? The different ways that different things are done, and men and women loving in this world, taking up chances as they come along, and when they ain't, pretending they are good. But God, what things are they I haven't done? I've turned my hand to most and turned it good in various situations round the world. For him that doth not work must surely die. There's no reason man should labour all his life on one same shift. Life's not so long. Therefore, from job to job, I've moved along. Pay couldn't owe me when my time was done. But something in my head upset it all, till I dropped whatever it was for good, and out at sea beheld the dock light die, and met my mate, the wind that tramps the world. It's like a book, I think, this bloomin' world, which you can read and care for just so long, but presently you feel that you will die unless you get the page you're reading done and turn another, likely not so good. But all you're after is to turn them all. God bless this world. Whatever she hath done, except when awful long, I found it good. So say before I die, he liked it all.
The sun was shining on the sea, shining with all his might. He did his very best to make the billows smooth and bright, and this was odd because it was the middle of the night. The moon was shining sulkily because she thought the sun had got no business to be there after the day was done. It's very rude of him, she said, to come and spoil the fun. The sea was wet as wet could be, the sands were dry as dry. You could not see a cloud because no cloud was in the sky. No birds were flying overhead. There were no birds to fly. The walrus and the carpenter were walking close at hand. They wept like anything to see such quantities of sand.
If this will only clear away,
They said,
it would be grand. If 7 maids with 7 mops swept it for half a year, do you suppose
the walrus said,
that they could get it clear? I doubt it.
said the carpenter, and shed a bitter tear.
Oysters, come and walk with us.
The walrus did beseech,
A pleasant walk, a pleasant talk along the briny beach. We cannot do with more than 4 to give a hand to each.
The eldest oyster looked at him, but never a word he said. The eldest oyster winked his eye and shook his heavy head, meaning to say he did not choose to leave the oyster bed. But 4 young oysters hurried up, all eager for the treat. Their coats were brushed, their faces washed, their shoes were clean and neat. And this was odd because, you know, they hadn't any feet. 4 other oysters followed them, and yet another 4. And thick and fast they came at last, and more and more and more, all hopping through the frothy waves and scrambling to the shore. The walrus and the carpenter walked on a mile or so, and then they rested on a rock conveniently low. And all the little oysters stood and waited in a row.
The time has come
The walrus said,
to talk of many things. Of shoes and ships and sealing wax. Of cabbages and kings. And why the sea is boiling hot. And whether pigs have wings.
But wait a minute,
the oysters cried.
before we have a chat, for some of us are out of breath, and all of us are fat.
No worry.
Said the carpenter. They thanked him much for that.
A loaf of bread
The walrus said,
is what we chiefly need. Pepper and vinegar, besides, are very good indeed. Now, if you're ready, oysters dear, we can begin to feed.
Oh, but us,
the oysters cried, turning a little blue.
after such kindness, that would be a dismal thing to do.
The night is fine.
The walrus said,
You admire the view. It was so kind of you to come, and you are very nice.
the carpenter said nothing but,
Cut us another slice. I wish you were not quite so deaf. I've had to ask you twice. It seems a shame
the walrus said,
to play them such a trick after we brought them out so far and made them trot so quick.
the carpenter said nothing but,
The butter's spread too thick. I weep for you.
the walrus said.
I deeply sympathize.
With sobs and tears, he sorted out those of the largest size, holding his pocket handkerchief before his streaming eyes.
Now, oysters,
Said the carpenter.
you've had a pleasant run. Shall we be trotting home again?
But answer came there none. And this was scarcely odd because they'd eaten everyone.
Percy is my name. My accent is good, I'm told. As good as that of an Elizabethan. I had no schooling beyond the age of 16. My wife left me. I took to drink, live with a dog. I resent children unless they can hold their own with grown-ups. Yes. I've been around the world on ships. Down Connecticut way on jobs. Once got to Georgia. Always returned to the rocks and had times amain.
clam bakes in the summertime. I sit with the summer folk on the conglomerate shore, play my old fiddle a sharp tune or two, old airs I learned from my brother when we were boys. It was always tough with me. Sharp as the city folks I think I am, but I'm ever wary against them. Keep my difference and will not let them tell me off. I have no respect for their savage villainies. And yet, their power over life always fascinated me. They own the place. They come and go. I'm left to chores and dung. But I can catch a mackerel almost any afternoon on the incoming tide with an old hook when they're running. Old line in my old boat. They won't take hook from the Richlands. If I scare the children with my grizzled face, some old gut forced with whiskey keeps me going.